last time. Right. Okay, so we are going to continue where we have left under the management skills number 1. And just to catch up what we have done on 19th, no, 20th, on 20th. And we started the major management approaches, or sometimes we call in management thoughts or management schools or whatever. We discuss about the classical approach and who are the people who contributed to classical approach, 3 main key players. In fact, we discuss in detail the one is from the Frederick Taylor, and then we discuss the next theories, that is what you call Henry Fayol and Max Weber. They are the 3 leading gurus on classical approach, and supported by Lillian Gilbreth and Henry Ford, right? Henry. Then and we discuss about the behavioral approach after that, or sometime we call human relation approach. Early approach, we thought the classical approach, we considered only employees as a machine, but in the behavioral human relation approach, we considered employee not only the machine but also social element. And there, of course, we discussed in details the principles of management, and that is what you call Henry Fayol, right? Henry Fayol. And then so we discussed the sorry, not Henry Fayol, Elton Meyer, right? Elton Meyer, right? That's we discussed about the Hawthorne experiment. And then next we went to management science approach. That and the management science approach, what we discussed, some of the techniques we use in the World War II can be used in management. So that's the principle of management science approach. There, of course, we use a lot of mathematical and technical formulas and things to solve some management problems. And then we move into system approach from that point, where we discuss every organization to be identified as a systems, and systems we will basically combine to form a entire operations of the organizations. That's where we discuss some synergistic effects and things like that. And from system approach, we move into contingency approach. So what is contingency approach? We discussed there won't be any specific management approach or management style. Based on the given situation, the managers has to be change their management style. And then we move into the contemporary approaches. Under contemporary approaches, we discuss a little more, and we first discuss about these Japanese management approach, and then we discuss the Z theory, where is Americans and Japanese mix together and come up with another management style, and that is what you call Z theory. And then after the Z theory, we'll discuss about Tom Peter and Robert Waterman in excellence in business approach. What are the important characteristics we need to consider if your organizations to be perform better? And then we discuss something managing a technology driven workplace and dynamic engagement approach, things like that. And those are all our contemporary approach. And then we discuss about today's knowledge management. And those are the approaches we discuss up to now from 18th century. Why 18th century? That is the time all things have changed. Right, and there we have stopped last time. And then I think we started what is the role of a manager in an organization. You one time be as a manager. What is the role? How can you execute your duties in efficient and effective manner? Right. So we also discuss a little bit of type of manager. Who are managers? Now, so manager's job is to coordinate and oversees the work of other people so that the organization goals can be achieved. So we may identify three types of managers based on your hierarchy. And first we call them as first line managers, middle managers, and top line managers, right? Now, basically, day-to-day operation we comes under the first line manager. Middle managers are marketing managers, right? Top managers, your AGMs, DGMs, and things like that. And also we divided the managers also based on the top, middle, and lower level. The same thing, first line, front line, like that. And then I can remember we discussed what are the type of managers and managerial types. And then we discussed about the vertical classification. And like earlier we discussed, top managers, and these are the people who are responsible to drive the entire organization. Middle managers are head of certain departments, and first line managers are involving in day-to-day activities. That is what you call the vertical classifications of managerial types, right? And sometimes we call them as the horizontal classifications. We discuss about the functional managers and general managers. So sometimes called project managers. So the department that performs specific tasks, marketing, right? And we call them as functional managers. And within the functional managers, we have a line manager and a staff manager. I think we discussed what is the difference between a line manager and a staff manager. So line manager basically directly involving in achievements of goal, where the staff managers are there to support the line managers to achieve their organizational goals, right? So we discuss what is the role of a line manager and what is the role of a staff manager. Line managers are basically directly involving in the business, whereas the staff managers, all a parallel line, are supporting line managers to fulfill their needs and goals, that is achievement of the organizational objective. Now, to be ideal position for manager to be, and as we discussed, he should be an efficient and effective person, right? That's what we try to be. A good manager may be an efficient and effective manager. Okay, these are the things what we discussed last time, and then we started to discuss what sensible manager should do. So what are the managerial roles played by Mintzberg? Role by manager. So Mintzberg, he's the person who's one of the guru in management, and he has identified every manager play different roles in an organization, right? But he has identified there are 10 type of different roles in an organization. Now, you may, as one of the manager in the bank, may perform certain role. Now, let's look at it now. What are these roles performed by our managers, right? What are the 10 different roles in an organization played by a manager? You may as one of the, and that is this was developed by Henry Mintzberg. Let's look at it. He has identified these 10 separate roles carried out by managers, right? So Henry Mintzberg identified 10 separate roles carried out by managers. And he basically divided these 10 separate roles into three main categories, right? Now, Henry Mintzberg identified 10 separate roles, but he further categorized these 10 separate roles into three main categories. Now, what are these three main categories? And every manager need to perform as an informational manager. The role of an information role. So that means, so every manager dealing with information, we will discuss. And on the second main category, Henry has identified, every manager need to be deal with people, right? Maybe your superiors, maybe your subordinate, maybe with your customers. So for that role, we call them as an interpersonal role. So therefore, every manager be an informational manager, and every manager should be an interpersonal manager. And third one, as a manager, you need to execute. You need to take some decisions. You want to get the things done from others, prevailing based on the situations. You need to take decisions. We will discuss today in the latter part how we are going to take decisions. What is rational decision, what is behavioral decisions, and things like that. Now, say for an example, you drive a car. So suddenly somebody has crossed the car, and what action you need to go do? Immediately you need to take an action, decision. What to do, to put the brake or take some side or whatever. Right? So every manager in his career as a manager need to take decision. So that role is called decisional role. So there are three type of main categorized roles need to be played by manager: dealing with information, dealing with people, and decision making. Three main categories. Now let's look at it. All these three main categories in little detail, right? Okay, let's look at the first one. It's called informational. So we discussed last or maybe on 20th Sunday, last day, previous Sunday, what we meant, the importance of information. Information we considered as resources, and latter part we discuss what is information systems and what is data and all things. But for the time being, so information is we considered as a resources. Then what you need to do as a manager, you need to deal with this information efficiently and effectively. And remember, so manager has to deal with information and use them with very much care. So for that, Henry Mintzberg identified, right, there are three types of roles under informational category, right? The first one, we call them as a monitor. Now, as a business person, as a manager, you need to monitor. Now, monitor in classroom is not that one. The monitor means you need to seek, scan, receive information from your business environment. We discuss, we are having a not a closed system, we have an open system, right? Remember we discuss open and closed system, right? We have an open system, so we need to deal with external environment. So we need to see what is happening in the external environment. We need to scan in the external environment. So we discussed last Sunday also. So we are living in a VUCA environment, volatile, complex, uncertain, and ambiguous environment. So we need to monitor all this as a good manager. That is why we are requesting for you to read newspapers at least to watch news a lot, at least, right? Okay. So the second part on the information, what lot of organization managers are not doing, they are not disseminating the information. Now, whatever you gathered, you need to communicate with your subordinate and also with your superior. So that is what you call need to be act as a disseminator. Forward information internally to other members of the organization. Right? It is an import. Not only you collect information, but not only you monitor information. It has to be communicated to your subordinates. And you need to create a culture within your branch if you're working for a branch as a manager, right? Remember always as good points. And these are the points maybe not in your textbook. But what you need to know, suppose one day you become a manager, don't expect and you have to tell everything what you are giving to your staff, but create a culture within your branch or within your division. Whoever come with some new information to be shared with others, right? That is, other people also therefore need to be act as a disseminator, right? So collecting informations and disseminating information, and sometimes now this information must be communicated. You can have a verbal communication with your staff is one-to-one, or otherwise you can have a speech, that's one. Or maybe sometimes you need to communicate certain things for your head office. For that we may using reports, or maybe if you want to communicate these things to you other people, you can use memos, right? And for that you can use intranet. That's what we are going to discuss in a little while. Now, as sometimes we need to come and speech about your branch, something happened, right? So therefore, remember the first manager's role is an informational role. Under that, we have a three specific roles to perform with to deal with information. One, monitor. That means they collect information about the business environment. Second one, whatever you collect, you need to communicate to others and a disseminator role. At the third point, you can make use of these information to your external customers as well as your internal customers, right? Through speeches, reports, memos, interviews, press interviews, TV interviews, or whatever. So your job in that is an informational role. I think you understood very much clear. And the second type of major role, every manager must be deal with employees, with other people. Those are internal customers as well as the external customers, right? Internal customers mean your staff, you know that. External customers mean your different public groups, different people. Now, as an interpersonal role, what are the things comes under you need to perform? One is a figurehead, right? And it is your duty to act as a figurehead, perform social, ceremonial, and symbolic duties such as greeting visitors, signing legal documents, etc. Right now, say some of the guys enter into an agreement with, you see lots of banks are your top people as managers signing agreement with, so sharing with, shake hands. Now these days shake hand is little problem, no, but at least we welcome now good health thing in the January 1st. So you as a manager figurehead, so you greet your employees you greet you, right? We welcome your visitors. So that's a figurehead role. You need to show your role. Second, the leader. Now, leader mean, as we going to discuss in more details in what is a leadership and what is a leader and what are the new leadership styles. Right? People today be talking about leadership styles, right? Not the leaderships, but leadership styles. So you has to be a leader. So your role is play an important role. Direct and motivate your subordinates. Now, one classic example we will going to discuss later part. We'll have a we call laissez-faire. Laissez-faire, right? Sometimes we call in Sinhalese patolya. ඒකටත් නැහැ මේකටත්. Right? But you need to show some good leadership characteristics. So what are the leadership characteristics? Vision or sharing, all things we are going to discuss in more detail later on. But you need to be act as a leader. The next one, you are the guy who need to have a very license. Now, license is very important. Every manager should be a networking. Now, sometimes you note that some people when they go and for some function or some place, so they talk to each other, they creating a network. දැන් අපි කියන්නේ කොහරි ගියාම ඌට යන්නේ නැතර මාර සෙට් එකක් ඉන්නවා කියලා. What is that? Networking. So that is the manager's job. Every people, now we may not know president, but we know the president, but president may need not to know us. But as a good leader, he must be get on with people, right? And develop a networking. For that is the license is important. So therefore, it is a interpersonal role. What are the three types of interpersonal roles? Every manager need to develop figurehead, leader, liaison, right? So manager need to be deal with people, right? Okay, that's the second type of role. Then we look at the third type of category as a decisional role, and that's the most important role you need to play. So as a manager, you need to arrive various challenging decisions, right? And say as an entrepreneur, create and control change with the organization, new ideas and implementing them, right? So you are the guy who come up with new ideas. You need to promote or you need to cultivate the internal innovations, right? Innovations play a big role for any organization. We do something is different than your competitor. That is basically an innovation. Now, classic example for innovation is introductions of insurance. What is insurance? Now, Selinco has introduced on-the-spot insurance. Now, you see, that's an innovation. So, how that decision by the Selinco captured the insurance market in Sri Lanka. So, what they have done it? They said, no, we don't want police reports. We pay on-the-spot cash. So that's a novel, innovative idea. That's a decision taken by the manager, right? You see how much the business has changed. Okay, now while you're working, right, when you're taking decisions, so you know, there may be a lot of those decisions are not good for everybody, right? So some people may have some negative impact, some positive impact, some are like there may be a lot of disputes and crises. Not only that, when you're not a decision making, during your working also, working environment, even the branch. Now I'll tell you a classic example with my own experience. Now, if you really look at branch performances, now we have noted sometimes the branch is performing well. Suddenly, the branch is not performing well. And we try to investigate why. What's wrong with that? Because the branch was performed well, now it's not performed well. Maybe due to some issues within your branch, maybe two groups together, maybe assistant manager have a separate form like that. So it is your job is to disturb handler. So you need to take a quality decisions, and you are not allowing to have any disputes within your employees, not to create develop any disputes. So you as a disturbance handler, you need to talk to them, clarify. That is your decisions. Okay, next one, and that's the most another important things. A lot of managers are criticized by your own employees. Resources allocated. Now, sometimes you say, your money is given to some of the employees. There are, we call, favoritisms and all. So you try to identify who need what. So accordingly, so you need to allocate your resources among your staff and set priorities, schedule budgets. All preparations of budgets are important as a manager. Now, that is your job as a resource allocator. For that, you need planning, you need scheduling, you need to identify priorities, right, to perform a decisions role as a resource allocator. Right, the last one in the decisional role is a negotiator. Now, you see, so you need to deal with other parties. Now, I told you a lot of organizations today are having obtaining the outsource services. So for that, uh, you need to negotiate with the pricing, the supplies, right, and all, and also with the unions, right. In a bank, there are a lot of unions are there. So therefore, as a manager, you need to have a better rapport with these all unions, as well as your purchasers and your suppliers and your customers. So you need to develop and negotiate, right? So these are some of the managerial roles you need to develop as a manager, right? So these are very fundamental things. Wherever you are learning about the management, these things are learned, need to be right. When you come up with the management degree or any management course, these are fundamentals. The first year, you're going to learn all these things. Right now, this was developed long time, but still, these roles are we are discussing. Why? Because those are important. So, so therefore, what are the three types of roles identified by the Henry Finsburg? Every manager need to perform: informational, right? What is the next part? Interpersonal and decisional roles. So under three categories, what are the separate roles you need to play? We'll discuss. Okay, first we discuss on informational. So you need to monitor. You second, disseminator, spokesperson. Next one, interpersonal. So you need to act as a figurehead. You need to act as a leader, and you need to have a license. Then the decisional, the most important third in the managerial role, you need to take decisions. So you need to be an entrepreneur, come up with new ideas, doing the new way, and you also promote within your staff to come up with some new ideas, right? And the disturbance handler, you need to handle certain issues facing the branch or within the divisions, and also you have a knowledge about preparations of budgets and things like that. From that, you're performing as a resource allocator role, and you need to deal with different customers, internal as well as external, and for that you need to develop your negotiator. You have to take a negotiator role. So these are the three categories of managerial roles. Under that, 310 roles need to be performed by every manager, right? Okay, so in order to now the next one, in order to perform these roles, in order to perform this role, what are the competencies oh you need to develop, right? So you need to come up, you need to learn these things, you need to develop these are some sort of a skills, right? Okay, so in order to develop these, in order to activate or in order to execute these roles as a manager, you need to have some sort of a competency, right? Now competency mean, what do you mean by a competency? Competency, we talk about skills, knowledge, attitudes and attributes. Those are the competency you need. As an every manager, you must have a competencies. Competencies of what? One factor is the competency factor is the skill, the knowledge about the attitudes and attributes. So here we are discussing what are the skills you need to perform the managerial roles. So what are the other competency other than the skills? I explained to you the knowledge. Knowledge about your organization, knowledge about your product and services, knowledge about your competitors, knowledge about your customers. So you need to have a knowledge about all these things. And you need to have a knowledge about your industry, the banking industry, financial industry, right? And the second one is we are going to discuss skills. Okay, I will explain skills in detail. Third factor is the attitudes. You always need to look at it, all these things, in a more positive manner, right? Anything you can do it if you think, right? The next one is the attributes. Now, attributes is okay in some sort of a communications development. So, how can you prepare reports? How can you make a presentation? How can make a speech? You see, when we noted some of managers in the branches, we have seen they can't talk to even for their own staff. So then, but your subordinates will look at it. So you have a very bad feeling about you, right? Okay. So most important things, all things are important for execute your roles, but specifically, we are going to discuss now what are the skills required by the manager to perform what we mentioned about these roles, right? Now we have identified, in fact the Robert Cards has identified every manager must have a three type of skills. One is technical skills, conceptual skills and interpersonal skills. Now these skills you require, basically the three important skills you need to develop in order to perform your managerial role. Now let's look at it, these roles in little more details. Right? Actually, this was uh, identified by Robert L. Carl's every manager's skill. Right? First, we look at the conceptual skill. Right? Now, what do you mean by a conceptual skill? As a manager, you need to foresee, right? And based on certain information, so you need to take some quality decision, and you need to understand, or you may need to be forecast what is happening in Sri Lanka. Say for an example, as a manager, say example, I'll just give you an example. Now 2000, you may have already prepared your action plan or whatever plan for the 2021, but what factors you need to think, what may be the this year's performance as a manager. How about your deposits? What do you think? Can you achieve your target more than that for your branch deposit targets? Can you achieve your uh, uh, credit targets? Can you improve? These days, lot of banks are, concentrating on more on, the savings, the low cost funds. Can you achieve? So for that, you need to have a conceptual skill, right? You need to look at it, what is happening in the external environment. What is the economic pressure factors? Right? That is your conceptual skills as a manager, right? Okay, right. You need to re-look at it, right? සංකල්පනාත්මක ස්කිල් එකට කියනවාද සිංහලෙන් සුදුසුකම් නැත්නම් හැකියාව, right? Conceptual skill, right? Okay, second type of skills we call the human skills, right? And also remember the conceptual skill, uh, you need to take more decisions, and also you need to have a more on a analytical skills under the conceptual skills, right? Okay, right. Now you know a type of skill you require to perform a certain managerial role, especially for decision making skill. You need more on a conceptual skills, right? Okay, now let's look at the human skills, that is interpersonal skills, right? Now we discuss one of the main role manager need to play is an interpersonal role. Managers need to deal with internal customers and external customers. Most of the time you need to work individually as well as a team or a group, right? So you need to have a interpersonal. For that, so you need to develop your human skills, right? Okay, so that is how you develop the network, and this is how you communicate targets, everything, your responsibilities and everything to your subordinates. How can you lead them? How can you motivate them? How can you build trust about you for your subordinates as well as your superiors as well as your customers? For that, you need to have a human skill, interpersonal skills. Right? සමහරට අපි කියන්නේ මුගේ මුම්මන් ඉන්නවා එක එක්කෙක්වත් කතා කරන්නේවත් නැහැ. කාත් එක්කවත් කතා කරන්නේත් නැහැ. Right? So he is losing a lot of marks. Lot of businesses can be sorted out through human skills. Talk to them nicely. Can some when you go for certain doctors, now some patients are telling, "Apo ek dostrat ek වචනයක්වත් කතා කරන්න බෑනේ." සමහර දොස්තර කියන්නේ ඇල්ලුවත් ඇති ලෙඩ හොඳ වෙනවා. Now that is their human skills, right? That is the human skills, right? The third skills is what you call the technical skills. Now these are some. Now conceptual skills are thinking skills, right? Conceptual skills are basically we call them as conceptual skills are thinking skills. Now technical skills are basically we call them as doing skills, right? Now every manager also need to have a technical skills, right? Now for an example, now you as a good example for you as a manager. Suppose if you work as a banking assistant and going to the ladder to become a manager of the branch, so you know the role, so how to operate the how to open a computer, how to see customers balances, how to activate and how to open an account, how to close the account, right? What are the entries you need to put, how to, some of the managers, and I'm very, very well known this point. They are, maybe some people are telling, we have used so many time, so long time, so now we forgotten every time. Now, how many of you can go to a teller and do the teller's job? So that is your technical skills. So if you know all these skills, so your subordinate cannot cheat you. You know how many accounts you can open per day and things like that, how many customers are coming for branch, all things you aware, because you have experience in technical skills, right? How you want to see the customer's history, track record, and look at it, the NPL balance. As a manager, you can do, but you need to develop those skills. That is technical skills. It is not a thinking skill, it is a doing skills. Now, right, record transaction in accounts, things like that. So therefore, in order to perform that 10 rows what you discussed in greater length in earlier, what skills you need to develop are conceptual skills, human skills, and the technical skills. Even though you don't know, you can call a technical assistant or staff assistants, or what you call a banking assistant, and can learn from them, right? Okay, right. Now, based on your levels